presiding.
Good afternoon, please be seated, thank you. And Sergeant Romano is resuming the stand, and we can bring the jury out. Would counsel stipulate to the presence of all of the jurors?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Sergeant Romano.
Good afternoon.
I think we left off before the break discussing, or the state was asking you questions with respect to 54 wells. Do you recall those line of questioning?
Yes.
Okay. And you testified before the break as well about obtaining video surveillance from that residence.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. How many camera angles did you, or how many cameras themselves did you obtain from that residence?
2.
Could you briefly, well, what were their names?
It was camera 3 and camera 7.
What area did camera 3 cover?
That covered the garage area looking south from the house.
Did it encompass any area of the road?
Yes, it did. It picked up a partial section of Wells Lane.
And camera 7?
Camera 7 was mounted on the front of the house, and that picked up Wells Lane as it passed in front of the residence.
The road that both camera 3 and camera 7 picked up, was that the same road?
Yes.
Okay, and is that Wells Lane?
Yes, it is.
Okay. If I may just have one moment, Your Honor, counsel.
Yep.
Okay, at this point, Your Honor, the state is going to play States 3. So I'm going to ask you to direct your attention
And
to
stage
this.
3 has been admitted as a full exhibit.
No objection.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, sir, on 54 wells, for camera 3, about how many hours did the New Canaan Police Department or yourself download for that time or that camera?
We downloaded approximately 24 hours worth of video, one whole day.
Okay. And with respect to camera 7?
The same amount.
Okay. Was there anything of evidentiary value on those 24 hours?
There was.
About what time period?
The first item that we noticed was at approximately 7:58 hours,
Okay.
7:58 a.m.
If I can, I'm going to direct your attention to the screen behind you. Upon the state's 3, I'm going to, for the record, Your Honor, play what is titled Cam 3 75800-75930. Just going to stop it real quick. Sir, if you wouldn't mind just explaining what is depicted on that screen.
So this is the driveway in front of the garage at 54 Wells Lane. It's looking effectively south, and what you'll see in the top right of the screen is actually Wells Lane as it travels past the residence.
If you wouldn't mind, please, if you can stand up and approach and just point out that area on that screen.
Sure. So this being the driveway area, at the very top is where Wells Lane passes that residence.
Okay, and with respect to the numbers on the upper left hand, what is that?
That is the date and timestamp from the actual DVR unit or the unit, the system itself, that puts on the video.
Was that timestamp accurate?
Yes, it was.
And you can have a seat, sorry. I'm going to hit play. Sir, I'm going to, well, let me ask you this. Does that vehicle that passes appear on another screen?
It does. It also shows on camera 7 during the same time frame.
State's going to play states 3, cam 7 underscore 758 75830. And same questions, I paused it right at the beginning. If you can, sir, just explain what we're looking at right here.
So this is the front of the residence at 54 Wells Lane, the driveway, and then in the background is Wells Lane as it passes in front of the residence.
And the numbers on the top, please.
That is the date and time that the video was recorded.
Okay. I'm going to hit play. Actually, if I can, I am going to pause it and bring it. And I pause it at this clip. It states 19 seconds. Sir, did you watch this video on May 20th? Would it be the 24th or the 25th?
It was probably the 25th and beyond.
Okay. How did you identify this as the vehicle?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. This is, well, it's characterization. The exhibit speaks for itself.
Well, in this court's view, the exhibit does not speak for itself. There's more than one black Chevy Suburban. The testimony elicited has to do with how this officer determined which black Chevy Suburban it was overruled.
If you can answer, sir, please.
So we had previously located Jennifer Dulos' vehicle, so we knew exactly what it looked like. And as we reviewed the video, when we found this, it matched up with a vehicle that we had previously impounded. Therefore, we knew it was her vehicle leaving her residence.
Now, is this the same vehicle, I'm sorry, is this the same vehicle that you had spent the preceding night standing by?
Yes, it is.
And is there anything distinctive about that vehicle?
The wheels matched up on it, and there are also stickers on both rear quarter panels, passenger and driver side. Those decals matched up with the ones that were on her vehicle that we had impounded.
And is that what drew your attention to this, I guess, segment?
Yes, that, and it exited from the same vicinity that you could see in camera 3 was the same vicinity her driveway exited to Wells Lane. In addition, looking at the wheels and the sticker that's on the rear corner there, it matched up with the vehicle that we had impounded.
Thank you. Now, sir, did you see that vehicle on those cameras again?
Yes, we did. At approximately 8:05 a.m., it came back the opposite direction.
I'm going to play states 3, cam 7 underscore 805-80540. Sir, if you can just direct your attention to the screen behind you again, please. And again, I'm going to pause it briefly. What does this depict?
This is again camera 7, which is depicting the front of 54 Wells Lane and Wells Lane itself as it travels past the residence.
And the timestamp?
The date and the time, which again is 8:05 hours.
And just to be clear, is this the same camera that we just saw on the other camera 7 clip?
Yes, it is.
Okay. If I can, I'm actually going to pause it and bring it back. the same question, sir. How did you identify this clip as its evidentiary value?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
So the vehicle, again, matched the vehicle that we had previously impounded. Wheels matched up exactly, and so did the sticker that can be just seen on the left rear quarter there.
Can you see that sticker on the screen at this point? I believe I stopped it or paused it at 24 seconds on the clip.
Yes, I can.
If you wouldn't mind, sir, could you please get up and point to it?
So if you look at the rear of the vehicle, right down in this corner, there's a white sticker that's there just behind the gas fill cap.
Okay. And again, I'm sorry if I can, states 3 cam 3 underscore 805-806. Sir, please take a look behind you. And I'm just gonna stop it at 45 seconds. Sir, is that the same time, or is the timestamp the same?
Yes, it is.
And is this the camera 3, I believe, is that the same camera that we saw previously?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, after 8:05 that morning, did you continue to watch these cameras?
Yes, we did.
And do you see that vehicle appear at another time?
Yes, I did, at approximately 10:25 a.m.
Is that depicted on camera 3 or camera 7?
Should be depicted on both.
Okay, if I can, states 3 cam 3 underscore 1025 to 102530. And I'm just going to pause it briefly, sir. Again, the numbers on the top upper left-hand corner.
That is the date and time the video was recorded.
And the timestamp, please.
10:25 and 6 seconds.
Thank you. I'm actually going to stop that and play states 3 cam 7 underscore 1025 to 102530. And the same question, sir, is this the same camera 7 that we have seen previously?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and the timestamp?
That is the same at 10:25 and 2 seconds.
Thank you. And I'll stop it at 20 seconds, Your Honor. Sir, how did you know that that was of evidentiary value to you?
We were looking for anything depicting vehicle movement, of Jennifer's vehicle moving, and the fact that that was leaving the residence again was of interest to us.
Do you see that vehicle appear on those cameras again?
We did not.
I have nothing further, thank you.
Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is John Schoner, and I represent Michelle Troconis. I just have a few questions. You're watching, how many hours of video did you watch yourself from the neighbor?
In total, it was 48 hours, 24 hours from each camera 3 and camera 7.
And did you see, starting when?
Starting at midnight on the 24th of May.
Did you see any other vehicles coming and going that other than the Suburban that we just watched?
Yes.
Did you capture any of those pictures as being of any evidentiary value?
We did not. Initially, we noted them, but as the investigation went forward, they were determined to be neighbors' vehicles or visiting vehicles that had nothing to do with the case itself.
And you mentioned that there was something about the hubcaps on this particular, the wheel covers on this particular Suburban that were unique or stood out. Can you tell us what that was? I'm just curious.
They weren't unique, but they matched up with the vehicle that we had already impounded.
Do you know how many different styles of hubcaps or wheel covers there are for Chevy Suburbans?
Not offhand, I do not.
So it was the sticker that you're referring to that we see in the back panel on some of the video clips, right?
That was a piece of it, yes.
Without that, it would be like any other Chevy Suburban from around that year, right?
It's feasible, yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Sergeant, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the state would call Kelly Coughlin. Let me just approach the clerk while I...
Madam Clerk.
If you could please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Kelly Coughlin, K-E-L-L-Y. Coughlin is C-O-U-G-H-L-I-N.
You may be seated.
And your affiliation?
Police Officer, Town of New Canaan.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Officer Coughlin. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am good. You work for the New Canaan Police Department?
Yes,
What is your current rank?
officer.
Okay. How long have you worked for New Canaan PD?
8 years.
Okay. Do you work in a particular division or department of New Canaan?
I'm a patrol officer.
Okay. Do you have a specific assignment?
No, just general patrol.
Okay. With respect to being a New Canaan police officer, patrol officer, if you will, do you have a specific training and experience as part of that?
Yes.
Can you briefly describe some of your training as a New Canaan police officer?
I received 6 months of training at the Connecticut State Police Academy prior to working in New Canaan. Then we go through a field training program for approximately 10 weeks before being a certified officer on our own in patrol.
Okay. And with respect to, well, let me ask you this. Are you familiar with New Canaan Country Day School?
Yes,
In what way?
I'm the school liaison officer there.
And what does that mean?
School liaison officer is a police officer with our department who is a form of communication or a line of communication with the administration at the school and somebody who visits with staff and students regularly.
With respect to, how long have you been a liaison officer with New Canaan Country Day School?
Since 2018.
What exactly is New Canaan Country Day School?
It's a private school in New Canaan that has students from pre-K through 9th grade.
How big is it?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. Is it one building or more than one?
It's a campus with multiple buildings.
Okay. If I can, Your Honor, states 5, I believe there's no objection, if that's correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
States 5 admitted as a full exhibit.
Officer Coughlin, I'm going to draw your attention to the TV screen behind you if I can. By the way, Are you familiar with the area around New Canaan Country Day School?
Yes.
And there's only one photograph on States 5, Your Honor, just for the record. I'm going to show that here. Officer Coughlin, do you recognize what's depicted on that screen?
Yes.
What is it?
The campus of New Canaan Country School and the surrounding area.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind, Your Honor, may I ask her to step up to the screen? Would you mind, please? Thank you. With respect to New Canaan Country School, could you identify it on screen, please?
Yes, here.
Okay. Is it that area, or how many buildings does it encompass?
It encompasses the buildings up here, the fields to the side, and the buildings here up until Frogtown Road.
Okay. So what is the road on, I guess it is kind of going from top to bottom. I don't know if that's north or south. Perhaps you can describe that for me.
This road here runs north and south through New Canaan. It's called Ponus Ridge Road.
And the road that kind of goes across the middle but up the side, what is that?
This road goes east to west. It's Frogtown Road.
Is Wells Lane depicted on that photograph as well?
Yes.
And could you please point that out as well?
Wells Lane runs here.
Okay. And particularly, do you know where 69 Wells Lane is?
Yes.
Could you please point that out? And for the record, pointing to the middle, center, right, I guess? Thank you. Now, are you, at some point, you can have a seat, ma'am, thank you. At some point I'm going to draw your attention to May 2019. At some point, did you review video surveillance from New Canaan Country Day School?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your assignment with respect to that?
I was reviewing multiple sets of videos that came into the police department in reference to the investigation from different houses, schools, different locations.
Okay. When you say investigation, what are we talking about?
The missing person investigation for Jennifer Dulos.
So was New Canaan Country Day School one of the videos that you were reviewing
Yes.
during that time period? Okay. And was there, did you find anything of evidentiary value on that video?
Yes.
What did you find?
Jennifer's vehicle was on the New Canaan Country School campus on the morning that she was last seen of May 24th, 2019.
Do you recall what time?
8:03 a.m.
Okay. And with respect to the, is that depicted on a camera footage, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Where is that, well, let me just, why don't I show you? I may have a moment, Your Honor, just. State 6, I believe there's no objection to it being a full exhibit, Your Honor. Is that correct?
Video.
The video, the clips.
No objection.
Thank you.
Stage 6 will be admitted as a full exhibit.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there, playing State 6. If you could just take a look behind you, do you recognize what's depicted on that screen?
Yes.
Okay. Going to hit play. Officer Coughlin, was that the video that you identified? Or
Yes.
a clip of the video that you identified?
Yes.
Okay, if I can have 1 second, and I'm going to pause it and ask you a question. Okay. Officer Coughlin, if you can go up to the screen again, and I know it's small, but in the upper left-hand corner, let me see, I can't scroll in, there is some writing on the top. Can you see that?
Upper left-hand corner.
Yes. What is that writing?
2019-0524, referring to the date of May 24th, 2019, 8:03 and 44 seconds AM. MS North, JD Video.
With respect to the 8:03 time period, or I apologize, I'll strike that. With respect to the 8:03, what did that mean?
8:03 was the time that this camera captured the vehicle passing through Country School campus.
Thank you. You can have a seat. Officer Coughlin, had you on, let me ask you a question. On May 24th of 2019, did you respond at all to Lapham Road that night?
No,
Did you review or see in person the Chevy Suburban that was found on Lapham Road?
no.
Okay, so when you reviewed this footage, how did you identify that vehicle?
I viewed photographs of that vehicle which were taken when it was recovered on Lapham Road and later processed.
And did you utilize those photographs in your review of the video surveillance?
Yes.
Now, actually, if I may have one moment, I just have to change it out. And I have a few more questions. I'm going to put back in states 5. And draw your attention back to the screen behind you, if I can. Just to close it up here, that video screen that we saw in states, I guess, 6, where was that, if you could, is the camera that video came from depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
Could you please stand up and point to where that video or that angle was?
Here.
Okay, what is that white building?
That's the middle school on the campus of New Canaan Country School.
Okay, and is that a one-way, or if you can just describe it, please?
The way in which Jennifer's vehicle was seen traveling out is a one-way exit out of the main portion of campus and goes towards Ponus Ridge Road.
What time does New Canaan Country Day School start in the morning?
Typically there's different start times based on grade level, but typically between 8:15 and 8:30.
Okay, is there a time for drop-off, or that the school is open for drop-off of the children that go there?
Typically between 7:45 and 8:30.
Okay, thank you. You can have a seat. Now, with respect to when you found or saw this vehicle on the video, did you share that information with anybody?
Yes,
Who did you share that with?
the other officers in the detective bureau who were working on the case.
And who were they?
There were numerous members from the New Canaan Police Department and the Connecticut State Police.
Okay. If I may just have one moment. No, I have nothing further. Thank you, Officer Coughlin.
Thank you. Cross-examination, please.
Good afternoon, officer.
Good
I
afternoon.
just have a couple of questions for you. Was this particular camera that you just showed us the video from a continuous running, or was it motion activated?
Continuous running.
And how long a period of time did you watch?
I don't recall the exact time frame, but it was a short period of time.
Thank you.
No redirect, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, officer. You may stand.
Thank you.
If I may, Your Honor, the state, if I may, I'm sorry, Officer Coughlin, you don't have to move, but just for the record, Officer Coughlin will be recalled. She's still under subpoena. The state intends to recall her for other parts of the trial and testify to other things. I did inform counsel of that as well. So
Okay,
she's
thank
still
you.
under subpoena.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I believe Corey Clabby will be coming next, Your Honor. Just approach the floor. Okay, there you go. I have
please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
First name's Corey, C-O-R-E-Y. Last name is Clabby, C-L-A. B as in boy, B as in boy, Y.
Thank you, and your affiliation?
I'm with the Connecticut State Police Major Crime Squad, Western District.
Thank you.
Detective, you may be seated.
Thank you, sir.
Detective Clabby, how are you?
Very good, how are you?
Good. You work for the Connecticut State Police?
I do.
Okay, how long have you been with the Connecticut State Police?
Since May 7th of 2010.
And do you work for a particular division or department within the Connecticut State Police?
Presently with the Western District Major Crime Squad out of Troop G in Bridgeport.
If you could walk me through a little bit, you said Western District Major Crimes.
Correct.
How many districts are there?
So the state's broken up into 3 districts. There's Western, Central, and Eastern District.
And with respect to Western District Major Crimes, what, I guess, troops would it be that does it cover?
Each district has several troops within, and within each troop, there's a group of major crime detectives who work out of that troop.
With Western District Major Crimes, what towns do those troops cover?
Well, it would depend on the troop coverage area. So for Troop G, we cover a massive area, mostly like Fairfield, New Haven County. So we either cover those towns directly, or we cover like the state facilities, highways, so on and so forth. So it depends. If there's a local PD, so for example, in this case, New Canaan, they may utilize us for assistance, and we'll come out to assist them. But other than that, we just cover mostly like state facilities or jurisdictions.
Where is Western District Major Crimes headquartered?
It's in Litchfield.
Okay, if you cover Bridgeport, Fairfield, down to New Haven, how do you get up to Litchfield as the headquarters?
Basically, you would take Route 8, Route 25, and just keep going up to Litchfield.
That was a very bad question. I guess my question is really, how is your headquarters in Litchfield if you encompass a town area that is down at the...
Okay, so basically, there's a command structure throughout the agency. So in Western District, the headquarters, the command staff is located out of Litchfield. Though the detectives themselves, we branch out to the local like troops. For me, Troop G, we have detectives Troop A, Troop B, and Troop L.
Okay. And Troop A, B, L, and G would encompass Western District?
Correct.
Okay, when it gets to, and you're a detective?
Correct.
Okay. Is there also a crime scene unit?
Yeah, so within each major crime squad, and there's 3 throughout each per district, there is a crime van, and they basically handle like scene evidence, video, photography of the scene, handling of the evidence, maintaining the evidence, seizing the evidence, and so on.
And the van would fall under Western District Major Crimes, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so where were you in relation to Western District Major Crimes? If you could just explain the structure a little bit.
So at the time of this incident, and still presently, I'm assigned to Troop G. So my office that I report to is in Bridgeport at Troop G.
Is that in the crime scene van area, or is that an investigation?
The van is located in Litchfield, where the headquarters is for the district, and they would respond from there, and it's kind of where they get their orders from.
What are the other districts, I guess, that cover Connecticut?
So the other districts would be Central District, which is basically the middle of the state, if you look at a map, top to bottom, and then out east would be Eastern District, and they'd be on the other side of the state, so.
And if, by the way, if I use the terminology van, what do I mean by that? Just
So it's the crime van, so it's basically, each district has a van. Within that van is equipment, and there's people that are assigned to that. There's several detectives, and their job, and a sergeant, is they operate within that van. Everything they do to process the crime scene is located within that van.
How many vans and crime scene units are there in each district, I guess, Western District, Central District, and Eastern District?
There's one van per district.
Okay, so there's only 3 essentially vans that cover the state police?
Correct.
For major crimes, okay.
Correct.
In May of 2019, where were you?
I was where I am now, working in Troop G.
And did you happen to respond, actually, before I go to that, can you just briefly explain to the jury a little bit about your training and experience as a state trooper?
Okay, so we go to a state police academy, which is in Meriden. It's a 7-month academy. It's kind of fast and furious, physical. There's a lot of academics There's a lot of training on investigations, equipment you utilize, basically everything you utilize. Crime investigation, motor vehicle investigation, tactics to kind of like de-escalate situations, basically everything you need to know to do the job.
And how did you get to a detective with major crimes?
So that's a tested position that you have to apply for, interview for. You have to supply work that you've done, case work, whether it be search warrants, arrest warrants, and you go through an interview process, and it's a rank system. And if you rank and do well, and there's a position for you, you get the offer, you accept. And so,
In May of 2024, specifically, so I'm going to draw your attention to May 24th, 2019. Did you have occasion to respond to 69 Wells that day?
yes.
In what capacity?
So Sergeant Bisson was patrolling the van on that night. He called me and informed me that they were going to be going out to a scene in New Canaan at 69 Wells for the report of a missing person. It was believed to be a large residence, and he wanted some extra help to handle the scene. At the time, I was considered an alternate on the van, so if they needed manpower, I would go with them and assist them in processing the scenes. So he asked for me to go, and I said yes.
As a, I guess, alternate on the van, do you have to have any specific training or anything to have that position?
It's the same training you have, you know. You're taught by the people you work with, and
And would you only be an alternate, I guess, if you were in that Western District Major Crime
Correct.
Squad? Okay. With respect to 69 Wells, who was your sergeant that day?
Sergeant Bisson was in charge of the van that day.
Okay. And normally, who is your sergeant?
Sergeant Ken Ventresca,
And that is out of the Troop G office?
out of the Troop G office.
And that is, well, I'll withdraw that. When you arrived, did you have a specific assignment?
When I arrived, I was assigned by Sergeant Bisson to do the scene video.
What is a scene video?
So when we begin to process a scene, the first thing that happens every time is that we will go in and video the scene as is. So you can basically see a look of like what we walked into, what we saw, where things were, if things were disturbed, if they were not, if there was evidence somewhere. It's basically the general surroundings. So you're gonna see it the first time as we saw it when we arrived.
Is there a certain process or procedure that occurs when you go to assist in, or you are processing a scene or a residence?
Normally it is, we're gonna do so, like in this case, is based on a search warrant. We'll wait for that approval once we know it's official and we receive, instructions from the supervisor on scene. We start, video starts, photographs follow, and then there's just a system that goes. We identify evidence, someone handles the evidence, someone does a sketch of the scene, they do a map of the scene, we do video, we do photographs, then there's collection of the evidence.
Let me ask you this, sir. If you're naming a lot of assignments, did everybody get a specific assignment, or was everybody a piece of everything?
Everyone gets a certain assignment at the time, and then obviously as you complete yours, you then assist somebody else with theirs if needed. So you're not just standing there with your hands in your pockets.
Okay. And your assignment that night was?
Was video.
Okay. And was there somebody there to take photographs?
Yes, there was other detectives that took photographs.
And you also mentioned collection of evidence. Who was assigned to that?
Officially, I don't recall. It might have been Detective Riley, if memory serves.
Okay, but you didn't have any role in that?
No.
Okay. If I may have, what time did you took the video that night?
Correct.
What time did you start?
So the video commenced at 4:21 in the morning on the 25th.
And when did it finish?
It finished on the 25th at 5:31 p.m.
Did you have anybody assist you?
For the video, no. It was mostly me. Unless maybe if I needed some extra lighting, someone would hold a flashlight for me, but as I recall, it was pretty much just myself.
Was anybody inside the house when you conducted the video?
No. So as I would progress forward through the house, people doing photographs would follow, but prior to me, no one was through the house, to my knowledge.
Okay. Is there a initial walkthrough?
Normally there is with the case officer and perhaps the scene supervisor, but I was not present for that.
Okay. Your Honor, the state's intention is to play State 7. I believe there's no objection.
That's correct.
For the record, Your Honor, it is approximately, I believe you said, how long is it, sir?
Well, it's probably about an hour or more.
Yes, Your Honor.
State 7 will be admitted as a full exhibit.
Thank you. At this point, Your Honor, it is the state's intention to play the entire video.
So what we will do, counsel, is we'll play the video until 3:15, take our afternoon recess, and then resume.
Thank you. If I may just have one moment. If I may just have a moment, Your Honor, it looks like my computer decided to stop. Okay. A couple questions before we start. Sir, do you document the entire residence in it by itself?
Yeah, so you'll normally start from the outside, do a full video from the outside, and then we'll start and try to systematically go through room by room, depending on the layout of the structure. In this case, it was a large one, so it was kind of difficult to seamlessly go through it, but, and then we'll end with a final picture of the exterior when we're done.
With respect to the entire residence, do you document a certain area if you find anything of evidentiary value in it, or what do you do?
Clearly, if we see something that we believe is of concern for the investigation or evidence, then we'll obviously try to focus on that and show that, so the people that may see it in the future can have an understanding of what we saw and what things look like, you know, prior to our collection and scene processing.
Was there a particular area of the house that you focused on?
The garage was of importance.
Okay. And when, in relation to watching the hour-long video, where is the garage in the video?
It's probably towards the end.
Okay, why is that?
It was just, if I recall, I went through the front door and it kind of branched off and worked around and ended out coming through the garage.
All right, if I can, just one question before we start. Actually, if I can, just have one moment, Your Honor. Okay, so if I could direct your attention to the screen right behind you. What is that?
So that's basically just a quick way that we show documentation of a case number, the location, and who's doing the film. So you'll see that in the beginning, and you'll see that in the closing. And it usually will have the date and the start time at the top, and you'll notice in the end, you'll see the date and the end time at the top. So it's just to document kind of like, this is what you're looking at, who did it and when.
And what is the date and start time there?
The date is May 25th, 2019 at 4:21 a.m. military time.
Okay.
Attorney Manning, we can stop the video now and we can take our
Thank you.
afternoon recess till 3:30.
All rise. Everybody stand. This honorable Superior Court is now in recess. Please exit the courtroom.
Please be seated.
No.
You can bring the jury in, please.
Actually, before the jury comes out, maybe this would be a good, there are a couple of small issues that, housekeeping matters. If we could wait.
Well, we can take it up.
We'll take it up at the end. That's fine.
Stay up. Stay up. I know.
Counsel stipulate to the presence of all of the jurors.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we stopped prior to the break at 22:49. I'm going to hit play and resume the video.
Thank you.
If I may, Your Honor, I believe that Detective Clabby, did that conclude the video?
It does conclude the video.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Your Honor, for Detective Clabby.
Finish your own work.
Can we approach for a moment, Your Honor? Does the state intend to recall this witness?
I believe that Detective Clabby will be called later, Your Honor.
Well, then there's a housekeeping procedural matter that I would like to address. Maybe the jury can be excused for a moment.
Well, perhaps we can just, how long will it take?
About 48, about maybe 120 seconds.
We could do that at a sidebar. Require more than just a moment. So what we would ask the jury to do is that we briefly turn to the jury deliberation room. Please do not discuss any of the evidence that you have seen today. Return shortly.
May I inquire, Your Honor, do you want Detective Clappy to step out as well?
Well, the court does not know the nature of the house.
Yeah, I'm not going to request that he step out for this.
Okay, thank you.
No, you can hear this. Before the court reconvened after lunch, I had asked Attorney Manning whether or not the witness may be recalled. She has indicated that certain other witnesses may be recalled, but for matters that were indirectly or shall I say completely separate. Certain witnesses, such as the detectives that were involved, not just now, but throughout the investigation, I might have more lengthy cross-examination. And I said I would then, if you're going to recall, I'm not going to object, but I'm going to defer my cross-examination until then. The state indicated to me off the record they're going to object to that. So I think the matter needs to be resolved, and here's why. Several witnesses, including Detective Clappy, I may have some more extensive cross. I might even have things that might be impeachment type evidence. I shouldn't have to do that piecemeal, since confrontation and the right to cross-examine is a constitutional right. So in some cases, the court has ordered that if there's going to be a witness, and if I object, then the state has to put that witness on for everything that it wants to use, and then I only have to cross-examine once. If I'm not objecting to their doing it in piecemeal, where they're going to recall the witness 2-3 times maybe, I shouldn't have to do a cross and then wait and do another cross, maybe have to repeat the same kind of impeachment. It doesn't make sense. Plus, I submit that that's ineffective, and I think it wastes judicial resources as well. If I'm going to if I want to come back to this in a week or two when the witness comes back, if there are matters I want to address, it may actually relate to something that happens later. I shouldn't have to say I'm going to do this and be limited to that and then have the witness come back, and then I can't go back to that. So I'm going to ask the court either that the witness has to testify to everything if I don't want to, or that the court will allow me to defer my cross-examination. They can move on to the next witness. And if I have information pertaining to this, it may relate to something that's going to happen later. I shouldn't be precluded just because the state doesn't find that convenient.
Well, the court's view is this. It is easier to follow It is easier to follow a cross-examination right after a direct examination for the jury's sake, for the fact finder's sake. The fact that certain cross-examination may be repeated should not sacrifice clarity for the jury. Court sees no problem with returning to any witness. If one witness is called and the direct examination is limited, then the cross-examination is limited to the scope of that direct. It's easy for the jury to follow. But if, for example, if Detective Clappy were to be, or would return in a couple of weeks, and then the jury would have to reference what happened 2 weeks ago to understand the nature of the cross-examination 2 weeks from now, that is more difficult to follow.
That may be, but that's on the defense. But I would note that the right to cross-examine as a constitutional right is, I think it's paramount to whether or not there's a sense of clarity, which to my knowledge is not in the rules or in the Constitution. To the extent that what I might want to ask this witness is about what he did today is related to what's going to come in, I can't control the order of the state's witnesses. That's true. But I shouldn't have to sacrifice the right to confront and cross-examine for the sake of expedience or clarity. And that's why what I'm asking, and right now is that I would defer my cross till the witness returns, Your Honor will recall that this witness was involved in some of the other aspects of this based on the suppression hearings that we had. And I would rather do the cross-examination at once rather than breaking it up. And, you know, if I do it only once, if I've waived it, if the jury forgets as to what I'm talking about, again, that's on us, that's on the defense. But I shouldn't have to repeat or, for that matter, break up my cross-examination for the sake of the state's convenience, which is what it sounds to me like we're doing here. To be honest, Judge, I've never, ever been in a situation, and I've been practicing now for 42 years almost, that I could not defer. If it's the same witness, you know, I'm the one, then if the jury forgets about the issue at that point, then I'm the one who loses that ability for the juror recall, but I shouldn't have to cross-examine on one point, the state brings the witness back in a month or in 2 weeks, and have to cross-examine on that point, and then maybe they bring him back a third point. I'm limited to that. I believe that as a right to cross-examine, I should be able to do it once, if that's my choosing. That if I want to do it at once, and that's it, rather than break it.
So the practical question is this. If the jury hears direct testimony today, and 2 weeks later hears the cross, and there's an objection based on the fact that the state may claim, well, this cross is beyond the scope of the direct 2 weeks from now, then the court would have to rule. And the court may not remember what was within the scope this day, such that it would overrule the state's objection. So in other words, if we're going to talk to Detective Calabi 2 weeks from now about this video, but the state is not asking about this video 2 weeks from now, the claim can be objection beyond the scope. The court would have to try to remember what was within the scope on this date.
I will note, Your Honor, that one of the aspects of cross-examination tests memory. It tests bias, prejudice, etc., which is a fundamental right to cross-examination. I shouldn't have to do that more than once. I do it once. If I have to do it again, then that just, since the witness, unlike when we're dealing with sequestration, it's the same witness. And for that same witness, for me to have to reinvent the wheel each time, I submit is, you know, never mind that it's less, maybe it's less efficient, but it's, again, a fundamental right as opposed to just a matter of convenience. My alternative then is to object to the recall of this witness. I should only have to cross-examine a state's witness once.
Well, that's not a rule. You should only have to cross-examine a state's witness once. You can point to no authority for that.
It's
You wish
true.
to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly, there's multiple problems with this. The state has a right to present as our witnesses in our case as I see fit. By requiring us to indicate whether or not we're going to be recalling a witness for another particular issue, regardless if it's Detective Clabby or Officer Coughlin, as I indicated before, actually puts the state in a position of making a decision prematurely. It is hindering the state's ability to perhaps pivot later in our case. And again, the same concept of the idea that I don't have to disclose that. There's nothing to indicate I do. I do because I am informing the court as well as the defense counsel that the witness is still under subpoena and the state has an intention to recall that individual. I may change my mind as the case goes on. The idea that counsel would prevent or stop his cross-examination with respect to the subject that the witness has testified to puts the state in a position of being forced to recall somebody that we may not see that we have to. Counsel indicates cases, and yet I would like to see what cases or legal authority that he is actually citing. Now, with respect to the witness today, Detective Clabby's testimony is extremely limited to this video. Counsel should be, if he has an opportunity to cross within the scope of his examination, this clear code of evidence, and it should be contained within the scope of the direct examination. If and when Detective Clabby comes back to testify, any cross-examination should be contained within that scope of examination. That is the way it is done. Otherwise, it causes confusion for the jury, confusion for all involved, and a waste of time. So the state would object. If he wishes to cross Detective Clabby, he should do so now.
Well, I'll note, Your Honor, I don't have no authority that allows the state to call a witness a second or a third time after a cross-examination. Maybe then they can clarify information that was exposed during cross-examination. So I would suggest they could point to any authority that allowed them to do that as a matter of right. I would be shocked. But the bottom line, Your Honor, is I'm not requiring them to call Detective Clabby back. The question is, if they don't call him, then I've waived my right to cross-examine him unless I ask that he remain under subpoena, and I'll call him in the defense case. So that's, I see the prosecutor arguing two different things. I'm not requiring them to call the witness back just because they're reserving that right. The question is, I'm reserving the right to only have to cross-examine the witness once unless I believe it needs clarification at that moment.
Thank you. The court cannot state that there is a right to only one cross-examination of one witness. Court's role is to conduct the proceeding in an orderly, fair, and efficient manner. But efficiency cannot undercut order. It's easier to follow for the jury and for the court. Direct examination, cross, limited to the scope of the direct. So the request to essentially defer a cross-examination is not really a deferral at all. The cross-examination today is limited to the direct today. The cross-examination 2 weeks from now may implicate what is said today, so that cross-examination can be directed to those issues that are still relevant on that day. So the court is only going to allow cross-examination limited to the scope of the direct.
I ask the court to note my strong exception to that ruling.
Thank you.
I just need a moment. And I will note while the jury is out that I'm going to ask that the witness, I'm going to ask some questions, but I'm going to ask that the witness remain under subpoena with the possibility that we would call the witness back in the defense case in order to ensure his availability.
If I may just be clear on one matter, Your Honor, the state has subpoenaed Detective Clabby. With respect to the state's subpoena, the state, I do not want to be, and I've made this very clear multiple times, I am not going to be providing witnesses for the defense. He has the subpoena power. He can issue a subpoena today if he wishes, or the court can order clearly. But what I don't want to get into as the case goes on is because the state has issued a subpoena, defense counsel requesting the state provide that witness. I do not want to get into that. Just to keep things very clear and clean, if Your Honor wishes to extend that today in court, I understand that. But I just really have concerns about the state's subpoena applying to the defense case.
This is an easy matter. The court is not going to order a witness to appear for the defense under a state subpoena. The request is denied. Bring the jury back in.
Just for the record, Your Honor, I have one witness left for today. I am going to ask that she be released. She will come back tomorrow.
Thank you, because we are planning to dismiss it 4:45.
Thank you.
The council stipulate to the presence of all of the jurors.
Yes, sir.
As I understand your testimony and was watching that video, sir, you started filming at, you said, 4:30 in the morning?
It was 4:21 a.m., sir.
And at the end of the video, it looked like it was 5:31 p.m. Is that right?
That's correct.
So that wasn't a 13-hour video we just saw, was it?
No, sir.
So you filmed a little bit, turned it off, and then filmed something else, turned it off again?
Correct.
So what were you doing in the hours in between each segment?
I was assisting Detective Loprior doing scene measurements, sketch maps, and then I assisted at the time Sergeant Davison with his efforts at the scene.
All right, so you mentioned two individuals, I just want to be clear. One was LaPiore,
Correct.
and he was at the time a trooper.
I'm not sure of his rank at the time, sir.
At some point, he became a detective, right?
Correct.
But wasn't he in transition about that time from being a trooper to maybe joining the major crime squad?
I would refer you to him. I'm not sure of his path through the state police.
Fair enough. And who was the other individual that was there?
At the time, his rank was Sergeant Davison.
Davidson?
Correct.
And I notice at one point, when you're filming the side of the Range Rover, we see in a reflection a cameraman or a camera person. That's you, correct?
Correct.
And then you see two individuals walking behind you in that same reflection, correct?
Correct.
Was that one of those people, Trooper or Detective LaPiore?
I don't know who they were.
Well, what about Sergeant Davidson? Was one of those two people in the reflection Sergeant Davidson?
He was not on scene at that time.
So who were all the other people that were on scene while you are in various rooms filming?
That would be other members of the unit who were assigned to the van to process the scene.
So tell us how many people were in there at that time.
At the time, I would say at that one moment where you see the reflection, there was a total of 3 people.
And how about during the course of your filming from 4:30 or 4:21 a.m. till that time?
The majority of the time would be myself. The only time I would be with other individuals is if I requested another light. As you can see, I'm using another light to illuminate the room so you can visualize what I'm trying to record. And at times, either a battery would die and I would request another piece of equipment, or another individual who works within the unit who's on scene would assist in providing light.
Well, my question had been, who else was in there during the course of your filming? And I haven't really heard you tell me.
The exact individuals that were in there with me at that time, I don't recall exactly whom.
How many?
As I stated, 3, sir.
Total of 3 others for the whole day.
At that one time that you requested is a total of 3.
Now, I asked between 4:21 a.m. and the end of that film, how many other detectives were inside the home?
The exact number, I cannot tell you. I would refer you to the notes of whoever else did reports. There was a handful of us there doing certain things, such as scene. 2 people will do photographs. A person will do video. A person will do sketch. We have a supervisor on the scene. And we have another person doing evidence.
So if I subtract you as the person doing the video, we're talking about at least 6 other people, at least, right?
Possible, yes.
Were you made aware before you started filming that there had been uniformed police officers that had walked through the house?
I was aware that there was a response to the scene that uniform officers had indeed entered the house.
Were you aware that officers had actually moved some of the items and had picked up items to look at them? Were you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that.
Nobody told you that, right?
I'm not aware of that.
Were there any New Canaan police officers or detectives on the scene while you were filming?
Any of them on the scene would have been down in the cul-de-sac.
So no one was in the house while you were filming?
Not when I was in the house, correct?
Okay. Were you aware that civilians, for want of a better term, had already been through that garage that day?
At the time of filming the video, I was not aware of if that was a possibility.
Were you aware that at least the babysitter had been in there?
At the time of filming, no.
Were you aware that at least one of the children had been in the house?
Objection. We could get a time frame.
Between the, okay, that's fair enough. Between the time that the report of a missing person came in and the time of your filming, were you aware that at least one of the children had been in that house?
I would not be aware of that.
Were you aware that at least one detective from the New Canaan police had already gone through that house?
I would not be aware of that.
Were you aware that a cleaning person or a housekeeper had been in through the garage?
I would have,
Objection. We can get a time frame again.
Again, between the time of the report of the person being missing withdrawn. I now realize why that objection is correct. Between the time that the last time that Jennifer Dulos was seen in her vehicle and the time of your beginning the video, you're aware that the housekeeper, cleaning person had been in that garage?
at the time of filming, I would have no way to have that information.
I have no further questions at this time.
Is there a redirect examination?
Not at this time, thank you.
Detective, you may step down.
Thank you, sir.
As I indicated, Your Honor, I have another witness, but it is late in the day. If we could call that person tomorrow, they will be here bright and early.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to hear any more testimony today from any witnesses. What the court will ask you to do, because there will be a great deal of media coverage you will discover. The court asks you to avoid all of that media coverage. Please do not talk to anyone about the case, not even each other. And we hope to see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. And for this evening, you are dismissed.